This is the IELTS listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings and you have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. At the end of the test, you will be given 2 minutes to check your answer. Now turn to Part 1. Part 1.
You will hear a man surveying a woman about a bike-sharing scheme in the capital city near where they live. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Excuse me, could I take a few minutes of your time to ask some questions for a survey on the city's bike-sharing scheme?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. First, may I have your name
Jess Carrington.
and your birth year, if that's okay?
Sure, I was born in 1992.
Great, Jess. And can you tell me your postcode?
It's GU27XH.
Thanks. By the way, is that in Guildford?
Yes, that's correct.
I've never been, but I heard it's a quiet town with plenty of green space.
That's true. I like living there because it isn't very noisy and I can get from one place to another easily.
Now, you mentioned using the bike-sharing scheme today. Have you used any other public transportation?
Yes, actually, I caught the train.
Right. So you took the train to get into town today, which is the 30th of June.
Isn't it June 29th?
Yes, you're right. Excuse me. What brought you into the city? You didn't seem to be in any hurry, so it was easy to get your attention, which was nice.
It's my day off. So, I'm planning to catch a film with a friend. I thought I'd use the shared bikes to get around.
That sounds fun. How often do you use this bike-sharing service?
Not too often, actually. Just occasionally on days like today when I have a bit more time to get around.
Right. I see what you mean. So, I was wondering which station you picked up the bike from.
Of course. Well, this time I picked up the bike near Gloucester Road.
Is that spelled Gloucester?
Yes, that's spot on, actually.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now, listen carefully and answer the questions 6 to 10.
Could you tell me what you like about the scheme?
I appreciate being able to get some exercise. It's really convenient. It's also great for staying in shape and can help me meet my fitness goals, which is tough nowadays.
All right. And how do you find safety, Jess? What I mean is the road safety, especially around the city centre.
It feels pretty safe, actually. There are a lot of bike paths, which is reassuring.
Good to hear. Have you faced any other challenges with the service?
Yes, one issue is that the machines don't accept different forms of payment. This makes it a little inconvenient because sometimes I only carry around cash and not my bank cards.
Is there anything else?
I guess another small thing is the limited number of bike racks, which typically makes it more difficult to find a place to put your bike during the rush hour.
That does sound a bit challenging. Would you use the bike more if these issues were addressed?
Definitely. I'd use it daily to commute to my workplace if there were more bike racks at the station near my apartment.
That's really useful feedback, Jess. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Enjoy the movie and your day off.
Thanks, and no problem at all. Good luck with your survey.
That is the end of Part 1. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to Part 1. Now turn to Part 2. Part 2. You will hear a woman giving a talk about a volunteering scheme supporting gardening in the local community. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Josh Stanton, and I want to welcome you all to the Community Gardening Initiative. It's inspiring to see so many faces ready to make a positive impact on our local environment. By the way, I hope you're all comfortable. You might have noticed there's a bit of noise coming from the adjacent building. Actually, our staff contacted the building management in advance, but there wasn't much they could do about it since there's a ceremony going on. So, we have prepared a microphone for members at the back to hear more clearly. Right, moving on. In today's session, I will introduce some of the roles that our club has on offer before fielding some questions. Let me start by saying that when people approach us about our volunteering scheme, they usually ask us about the experience and the level of physical strength required. Gardening can be physically demanding, but you're not actually obligated to spend many hours in the garden yourself if it is too much to handle. All we ask is for you to perform your role. And with regards to your role, it would of course be beneficial to have previous experience related to what you will be doing, but it's not strictly necessary. Experienced members of our team will be on call to help you. Rest assured, you will receive extensive training before and throughout your time volunteering at the organization. Now, I would encourage you to send us your ideal availability, and we can figure out suitable time slots for you as we are very flexible. Whether you're looking to contribute a couple of hours a week or lead a more major project, every little bit helps our garden flourish. We value dedication, but we are equally understanding of your personal commitments and aim to prioritize the well-being of our volunteers. When you start your role with us, you'll receive thorough induction training covering our health and safety practices and other essential guidelines. It's important to follow these throughout your journey. Afterward, our trainer will lead you through an onboarding session, introducing you to our materials and handbooks which should help you in your role. We won't teach you how to do your role in a specific way, but what we hope is that by having the freedom and independence in this role, you will be motivated to do a good job. Anyway, experienced mentors are always available for advice, so you'll have plenty of guidance along the way.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen carefully and answer the questions 16 to 20.
Okay, so let's have a look at the various activities where your support can make a big difference. One activity that we require volunteers for is the garden planner and designer. It isn't essential that you have knowledge about plant science, but it's certainly helpful if you are able to come up with creative ideas for how to arrange layouts, or you can design a welcoming and attractive space for all to enjoy. If you are passionate about working with children, becoming an educational program leader could really use your enthusiasm. This role focuses on teaching the younger generation about the importance of nature and healthy eating. You would achieve this all by facilitating fun and interactive gardening activities. such as helping children to harvest their own fruit and vegetables. If that isn't something you are curious about, then maybe have a think about getting involved as a workshop leader. Here, you would facilitate sessions for other community members on topics like urban farming or composting. This is perfect for those who have a knack for research and sharing knowledge, or already have a bit of gardening experience. Another great way to participate is as a logistics coordinator, where you'll handle the behind-the-scenes essentials, making sure that the garden is well stocked with tools and materials and that everything runs on schedule. It's an excellent fit if you're someone who enjoys planning and smooth operations. The last role I'll mention today is the Community Outreach Officer. This one is all about promoting the garden within the community, attracting funding and support, and organizing special events. If you have skills in marketing or event planning, your ability to rally community support will be crucial. Thank you so much for your attention.
Part 3.
That is the end of Part 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to Part 2. Now turn to Part 3. Part 3. You will hear two students on a food science course, Tony and Sarah, discussing their experiences after attending a plant-based food exhibition. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Hey Sarah, did you enjoy the Food Science Expo yesterday?
Hi, Tony. Yes, it was amazing. I thought it was very good, that is, after I found my way to the exhibition centre.
Oh really? Did you get off at the wrong station and have to walk a long distance?
No, that wasn't it. I followed the directions to get off at Victoria tram station. But when I arrived at the exhibition centre, I entered the wrong side of the building, so I ended up in the wrong hall. Fortunately, it didn't take me too long in the end, but it was just a bit confusing.
I can see how that might be challenging.
Anyway, going back to your original question, I thought the exhibition was well organised, with lots of innovative companies on show.
Absolutely. I was especially impressed by the latest research on plant-based diets.
Yeah, me too. I didn't realise how many new products are coming out in that space.
Of course, the health benefits they talked about were really interesting, but I have already read quite a lot about that topic before.
Right? Like how some plant-based foods can help reduce inflammation?
Exactly. And I have even tried to experiment by eating more fruit and vegetables, and I noticed that it improved my digestion. Do you think that they should have taught us more about diet during school?
Well, it is a tricky one. I guess many of the parents might not want teachers telling their children what to eat.
Especially if the parents have a strict diet?
Exactly. They're trying to balance how much to get involved then. Although, if you ask me what I think, I'd say they could do more to encourage healthy eating. Anyway, what food did you sample?
Well, I tried a lot of things. I thought that the plant-based burger made from pea protein was delicious.
Oh yeah, I tasted that too. It's hard to believe it's not meat. However, I'm not a huge fan of mock meat products.
Perhaps you are just too used to eating regular burgers?
Maybe that's it. What I did find really interesting was the range of protein powders and things like the cheese made from cashews. They were so affordable for having such high-quality ingredients.
Totally agree. I brought home plenty of samples myself.
From what I could tell, the products on show today were quite popular.
Not sure. They were pretty expensive compared to regular food products.
Some of them might be expensive, but not everything was. Plus, If you consider that you buy less items overall, then you are probably even saving in the long run.
I hope that's the case. I'm looking forward to seeing these products hit the shelves in the future.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now, listen carefully and answer the questions 27 to 30.
What did you think about the talk on food preservation methods?
That was eye-opening. I had no idea there were so many different techniques.
Same here. I was particularly interested in how they use fermentation. The process is so natural and boosts the nutritional value.
Exactly, I never knew that some vitamins like B12 could be produced during fermentation. It's almost like they magically come out of nowhere.
Fascinating. Plus, it's been used for ages, so it's neat that old methods are still relevant.
That's so true. I also thought the demo on dehydration was pretty cool too.
Yes, that machine they showed us was impressive. It can dry fruits in no time.
I loved the samples they gave out. The dried mangoes were my favorite.
I thought they were a bit sweet. I preferred the dried tomatoes. They'd be great in a salad.
Yes, those were delicious too. Anyway, there's just so much potential in the field of food technology. I can't wait to experiment with some of these techniques in our own projects.
I'm not sure we are going to have the time or resources to experiment with that on our course.
Actually, I don't really agree with that. I would focus on the idea, like fermentation, and then just simplify things during the experiment.
That way you would still get to investigate this topic, which you find interesting.
That's right. I can even ask my aunt because she tends to use that process in her kitchen sometimes.
You could even interview her, ask her what the challenges are and that sort of thing.
Interesting. She probably has a lot of knowledge that would be useful. I might give that a go then. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is there isn't much point learning about things if they can't be applied to our daily lives, right?
That is the end of part 3. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to part 3. Now turn to part 4. Part 4. You will hear a man giving a talk about efforts to save giant pandas. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Today, I want to discuss a remarkable journey of hope and recovery, the conservation of the giant panda. Just a few decades ago, the giant panda was teetering on the edge of extinction. Let's start by understanding the gravity of the situation and the threats pandas were facing. Habitat destruction due to deforestation and agriculture severely fragmented the panda's natural habitat, leaving small, isolated populations. Bamboo, their primary food source, experienced periodic die-offs, exacerbating the issue. Additionally, pandas were threatened by poaching for their pelts. Their low reproductive rate and high infant mortality put forward greater challenges to their survival. The first step in panda conservation was the protection and restoration of their natural habitat. In the 1980s, the Chinese government established a series of nature reserves in panda habitats. These reserves were strategically located to cover critical areas where pandas still roamed. Then, measures were taken to curb deforestation and promote bamboo reforestation. To connect fragmented habitats, wildlife corridors were developed, allowing pandas to move freely between different areas, increasing genetic diversity and improving their chances of survival. This extensive effort not only benefited pandas, but indirectly helped to promote the survival of other species in the area, such as the red panda and the golden snub-nosed monkey. To complement habitat protection, robust anti-poaching initiatives were put in place. Strict laws were enacted to criminalize panda poaching, with severe penalties for offenders. Also, patrols were increased in panda habitats to monitor and prevent illegal activities. The Chinese government then collaborated with international organizations to implement advanced surveillance technology, including camera traps and drones, to track and protect these magnificent creatures. The involvement of local communities was pivotal in ensuring the success of panda conservation efforts. Firstly, the conservation organizations launched extensive education and awareness campaigns to emphasize the value of pandas and the benefits of their preservation. Next, the villagers living near panda habitats took full responsibility in driving the programs forward. Eco-tourism initiatives provided local residents with sustainable economic opportunities. By involving them in conservation efforts and offering incentives, locals became active stakeholders in protecting pandas. What's more, community training sessions helped villagers adopt practices that were less harmful to panda habitats, like sustainable agriculture. Perhaps most importantly, historical poaching pressures were alleviated. This reduced the threat to pandas. Former poachers were provided with alternative livelihoods through government programs, discouraging them from returning to illegal activities. The results of these joined efforts have been nothing short of extraordinary. Panda numbers have steadily increased, and in 2016, the IUCN reclassified the giant panda from endangered to vulnerable. Although the panda still faces threats to its habitat and livelihood, it's clear that species numbers are thriving, and the animal is now much safer than ever before. This success story demonstrates how different groups like national governments, local conservation organizations, and citizens can work together to turn the tide for endangered species. Beyond pandas, this model of conservation offers invaluable lessons. All of the measures I've mentioned today, including anti-poaching practices, local engagement, and habitat protection, can be applied worldwide to save other endangered species. In fact, right as we speak, projects inspired by the panda model have been initiated to protect species like the Ama leopard and snow leopard, using similar strategies but tailored to their specific contexts. In the current era, a rapidly growing number of species face extinction, but humankind already holds in its possession the necessary tools to restore biodiversity. What's clear is that the path to conserving the giant panda was marked by numerous challenges, yet it has yielded a clear roadmap for success. As we stand at a critical point for protecting the Earth's biodiversity, the giant panda's story is one of hope and resilience.
That is the end of part 4. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to part 4. That's the end of the listening test. You will now have 2 minutes to check your answers.